Testing 1 2. Here we go. The countdown has begun. For better or for worse, here we are. One more time. Gonna be doing a little bit of FM today, but I'm always open for any questions you may have on anything. So get your questions ready and put them in the chat. I'm going to be monitoring the chat for your questions. I love your questions. They make time go by so much better. So I feel like I'm helping somebody. Raphael says he's looking forward to this one. Who's running 343 Labs today? That would be Max Bug Tank. Is it Thomas? Thomas is always at the helm. Definitely. Probably Thomas. Happy Friday, Sushant says. Happy Friday. Happy Friday to Martin Crockett. Coddleloop. What's up? Of course, Pavel is here. I've taken to talking over this intro, but maybe I should just shut up. Let you guys get ready. Oh, you saw me. Okay, Bug Tank says they saw me in Detroit in 2006, or it was 2007 actually, at the Paxa Hall party, which was the movement, the Detroit movement. I played with Blake Baxter in the Detroit tent, so I was lucky to be considered an honorary Detroit person. Haven't been there since though. But of course I stopped touring some years back. Just Jill is here. Just Jill is here. Now I'm nervous. Just about a minute and 47 seconds left before we go on. About 34 seconds. Sushant says they like the tune. I did this, it was a live little jam I did on some of the modular stuff. Used to be in the habit of like just doing a jam a night and just recording it. And have tons of these. Anyway, it's time to start, I think. Well, we're almost there. One more second. And here we go. Hey, everybody. Welcome back. It's Abe Duque here. I'm here at 343 TV on Friday. That's my day. Friday, 1 p.m. We're here about 4 times a week. Let me see if I remember. Tuesdays for Tetro Talks, Wednesdays for Essentials in Electronic Music with Justin or Louis Beck, and Friday with me and the Production Basics show, and tomorrow with John Selway's Techno Saturday show. Today, we were going to be discussing additive and FM synthesis. But before that, let me just say hi to a few people in the chat. I said a lot of highs and hellos before, while the kind of credits or the start screen was going. But let me just say hello, Enigmatic Onion. Always good to see you. Elena. Oh, wow. Elena's here. She's a student of mine. Let's see who else. Jill is a current student of mine. Let's see who else. I mean, there's so many people in here already. That's great. I'm so happy. You guys are coming back, and now I'm a little nervous. Anyway, we are 343 TV. We come from 343 Labs. 343 Labs is a school. We have schools in New York City. We have a school in Berlin, and we have, of course, a school online. We teach you guys anything there is to do with recording music, arranging music, a specific DAW, mixing and mastering, sound design, composition, you name it, we do it. Basically what you see us do here on these streams. And if you're interested in taking a class with us, please visit our website at 343labs.com. This is how we pay the bills and how we keep this stream going. So have a look at there, or maybe even just tell a friend who might be interested. And yes, please subscribe to our channel if you get a chance. We're trying to build this channel up. It's going rather well. It's picking up in speed. The subscriptions about maybe 500 a week now, which is really great. And if you like what you see, maybe you wait a little bit. But if you like what you see, maybe hit me with a like button so I can feel good about myself. Anyway, today we're discussing additive synthesis and FM synthesis, and I like to group those together because they kind of go one into each other. Let's talk about what additive and and FM synthesis are not, and which is the first type of synthesis that we all knew or came about was this idea of subtractive synthesis. And I want to do a little bit of subtractive just to kind of give you guys an idea where we come from. And I'm going to use, hold on a second, I'm going to just move my face over here where I can get out of the way. And I'm going to use the analog, and I should share my screen here, my Ableton screen. I'm going to use the analog in Ableton. But it's basically a simple sort of synth that's modeling. It's not really analog, obviously, it's digital, but it's modeling a synth that came from those days, maybe late 70s or very early 80s, like an 80s or 70s polysynth, like a Juno 106, or it's not exactly that, but it's something like that. You have a couple of oscillators in here, and the big idea with this, and I'm just gonna I'll play you a sound real quick, and you know how much I love my Spectrum device. The Spectrum device really gets, it really helps me out to see what I'm actually hearing. I'm gonna play a note. So I got a sound in there, very nice, and I want to show you what's happening in here. You have a lot of stuff here. I'll call it stuff now, and I'll kind of explain exactly what it is. But what it really is a bunch of partial frequencies. So they're actually all sine waves. Every sound you've ever heard is built-up sine waves. So this is a sine wave. This one we will call the fundamental. It's the first one, and it has a bunch of them following that. And they actually fall into a specific order. The reason they sound so good together in what you call a saw wave, and we use that, very much in all of synthesis, especially subtractive synthesis, is because it follows something called the harmonic series. So the harmonic series is basically something discovered by Pythagoras, which really. It's based on multiples. So we have a frequency here, a low frequency here, which is our fundamental frequency. Let's call that the first harmonic. which is at about, let's see if I can get this bigger so I could see so this one is about 66 hertz. And if I keep on moving down to the next harmonic, which is be the second harmonic, or the first even harmonic, sorry, the first odd harmonic, this one will be a 120, 132 or so. So that's double the frequency of that. So it's a multiple of the original frequency. So that's when you get a multiple, when you double a frequency, you get an octave above. If you keep on moving, the next one will be not an octave above. So you can see that was a C note, and then the next one is a C note, and then the next one is a G note, and that ends up being a fifth. But if you keep on going, you'll get another C note again, and then you'll get a third, and then and so on and so forth. It's the basis of all the notes in Western music. You've heard me talk about this before, but a saw has pretty much all the whole series of the harmonic series built into it. And the rule of thumb for the saw, if you need to know, is that every partial is half of the amplitude of the one that came before. So this one is the strongest, the fundamental. And then the next one is half of the amplitude. And yes, it doesn't look like it's half here, but the way that dB presents itself is an exponential way. So we have something that's, half of the amplitude. This is actually half of the volume of this. And then this one, half of this, and this one, half of this. Although it doesn't look like it, but it creates that slope, which we figure to call a saw. All right, so we have this saw, and in subtractive synthesis, we start with this already somewhat complex waveform, although they can be more complex, because it's a simple complex, let's call it that way, because it has a lot of partials here, or harmonics. But we grab a filter, and we close it out, and add a little bit of resonance, or a little bit of a ski bump here, a ski jump, or amplitude at the cutoff, basically, to create or mold the frequency to create different tones and different sounds. And we have several different choices. We have a low pass, we have a high pass, a notch, a band pass, and even a formant filter setup. But we basically use filters to cut out parts that we don't need and emphasize parts that we do need. And this is the whole idea behind subtractive synthesis. Okay, so that's that. That's just a little bit of background on that. Now, what you get in another type of synthesis, I'm going to use operator for this, but there are plenty of really great synthesizers out there that'll do this, is the ability to start with simple things. So I'm going to use this, the way the operator is set up, there's 4 of these, what you might call oscillators in another synth, but since they're in this FM synthesizers refer to oscillators as operators. So you'll have a one down here that we're going to be listening to, and I'm not going to do FM yet. I'm going to go straight to the additive part. So the additive part is, let's look at the oscillators here. Right here we have a table of up to how many we're looking at. We have the 64 partials. So we have 64 different frequencies, and all of them are set up already in the harmonic series. So this is sometimes referred to as FFT, fast Fourier transform, which is a kind of a process to get a periodic function going every so often, meaning the takeaway is that every one of these is another one of the sine waves that appear in the harmonic series. So if I do that, so first let's just listen to the sine wave by itself. So that's a sine wave by itself. And then I can add another one, half of the amplitude, a multiple of the first multiple. And then another one, 3 times the multiple, 4 times the multiple, 5 times the multiple, 6 times the multiple, 7 times the multiple. And maybe I could have done it a little more like that. And if you start looking at that, you see that right here, you start forming what is a kind of rather, how would I say, this is a saw. It's a rough saw, but it's a saw. Matter of fact, if I pull in a saw from this list here, so let's put it saw D, which is actually, that's everything. So let's do a saw 64, which you see that it has that sort of pattern that we're talking about here, where every partial or subsequent frequency is half of the amplitude of the one before. And this is, my friends, the idea behind additive synthesis. So you have the simplest sound you could have, and you can add frequencies, which can be, in the form of a saw, or we can do, let's do, if I right click and I just say do the odds, now we've created a de facto square wave, because the square wave skips every other frequency. And now we have some sort of square wave thing going. It looks sort of like a square. If I go ahead and go to a square 64, it was almost perfectly done by me there, and that's a square 64. So with additive synthesis, we could use these partials to kind of create whatever we want. So we could add partials in any sequence we want. We could be like, okay, I'll add one there, and somehow it's not writing. Oh, I can only add. Let's get back to just doing all. So there, that there, and 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 I've created this waveform. It looks kind of crazy, and it sounds like that. Okay, so that is the idea behind additive synthesis. And the whole thing with additive synthesis is that this is the way, if you ever see like how an organ works, this is exactly how an organ works. You have all the drawbars on an organ. You're basically adding in partials of different. So if I have this chord playing here, and I just add different. Now, right now we're adding 64. In an organ, you might get something simpler, something maybe just like 16. To get the different tonalities going on an organ. And depending on the shape that you create with your organ, with these, let's call them drawbars for now, you can create a sound. And that is additive synthesis, and at its in its most basic form. Synthesizers like this use a process called FFT to do it, and it is the opposite of subtractive synthesis, in where you're starting with something full of frequencies, and in this case, you're kind of adding in the extra partial frequencies. All right. So now that we have that going on, now let's look into the chat. Anybody talking here? Jill says perfect timing because I'm hoping to use operator in my next track. That's a good one. Let's see. Sushant says I gotta scroll up. Oh, there's a lot being said, and I missed it all. There's a lot going on. Let's see. Pavel, Abe is getting ready for the Holland game on Sunday. That's what Max says at Pavel. Okay. Enigmatic says, Onion says hello to Pavel. Let's do push 343 for 13. Yeah, Max wants us to have 13K subs. I also want that. I actually want 100,000 by the end of the year. What do you say, everybody? Right now, we're like we're just a little bit. We were 12.9 K subscribers. We could do 13K maybe by the end of the week, hopefully, which is today. All right. Pavel says Fast and Furious harmonics. Kingston, John H. Kingston III. Hello, John. Always good to see you. Enigmatic Onion and Max Wild. He's just saying hi to everybody. I'm glad to see all you kind of regulars here. See, Bug Tank says I've taken classes with 343 Labs in New York City. They've got me started. Yep. Come back again. Take some more classes. We got a lot of classes going on right now. We got summer immersives going on. I'm about to start another summer immersive in 2 weeks. And in 2 weeks, I also start a new mixing and mastering class. So if you like what you see and what you hear from what I'm kind of giving you here, you could see more in classes. You could ask some of my students. Some of them are in the chat right now. You could ask them how I am as an instructor. They might, it might be surprising what they say. But yeah, come check out our website. We have classes starting all the time. We really need you to come see and maybe take a class with us, because you will not regret it. All right. Once again, if you guys have any questions for me to dive into or to explain more in detail about the process of what we're discussing today, please drop them in the chat. I'm so happy to see a question, because it gives me a chance to kind of help you out. I love helping. All right, here we go. Let's go back to the synth. So now you understand what additive synthesis is all about. It's just grabbing frequencies along the harmonic series and making it so that we have a nice sound. Now, what I mean by that is that if it's not along the harmonic series, what you're going to have is sounds that are more or less dissonant. In this Ableton operator, you can have you have these partials kind of set up for you and kind of rigid and ready to go. But in a synth like in Alchemy in Logic, you have also the possibility of doing FFT like this. However, you have many more partials that you can go with, and every partial or every one of these little bars that you could add can be edited. And in that case, you can edit it. You can make a partial that's tuned correctly, which means that it's an exact multiple of the fundamental, but you could also detune it in strange ways, and so then you start getting very strange dissonant sounds, which sometimes can be cool to use, but it gets harder and harder to play, say, melodies with it, or chords. Definitely chords get a little bit too much with that. So check out the FFT possibility in a lot of synths. There's all the modern synths are developing that. Things like Arturius Pigments is awesome with that, and of course Alchemy. And here in Ableton's operator, we have a good setup, because it's on rails. It doesn't let you go off of these of the frequencies based on the harmonic series, but it's pretty good. It sounds pretty good. So once again, just to refresh your memory, we have a fundamental frequency, and then we add our harmonics. First, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, and you can keep on going forever. And fortunately, our ears, only go up to 20,000 hertz. After that, you don't need to worry about it. But the formation of different sounds and frequencies can happen from creating different funky patterns with the harmonic series here. All right, let's move on to FM. So FM is similar to additive in the sense that it starts with very simple sound, which typical FM synthesizers, let's see, what was the first FM synthesizer? The DX7, right? The DX7, it only had sine waves built into it. There were only sine waves in the DX7. And so a typical DX7 also didn't have filters in it. And so it was weird, right? Only sine waves and filters. Well, okay, let's start as a DX7 with. So this would be basic, and it had, I think 6 operators. Here we just have 4. So you have these oscillators or operators that we use in FM. The difference is, though, that these operators or oscillators are set into 2 different categories. We have a category called the carrier, which is, I like to tell my students that when you hear carrier, you think about it carries the sound. It's the carrier. Okay, so the carrier is the oscillator or operator that you hear. And then you have another type of oscillator, which is the modulator. And the modulator changes the pitch of the operator that you hear in order to create something else. So I'm going to do a simple sort of example with this. I'm going to change the pitch of this with not with anything else that's in there, but I'm going to grab, Ableton has these these LFOs in here. I'm going to grab the LFO, throw it in here. And this LFO, I'm going to map to the pitch of the of this operator. And this is the fine. I could do it with the coarse, but I'm going to do it with the fine. So you see it going up and down. And if I keep on increasing the rate of this pitch, I get to a point where it starts to sound like a weird tone. Okay, and that is me modulating the frequency, right? So it's me modulating the pitch over and over again to create an interesting sound. Now, the problem with an LFO is that LFO is a low frequency oscillator. So it's low, meaning it's slow. It should be a slow frequency oscillator, if you ask me, because it's a frequency that's slow compared to the frequencies that you hear. The frequencies that you hear, the lowest they could possibly be would be 20 hertz for you to hear it, and the fastest that it can be is at least maybe in the teens, not the teens, but the 19K. That's what I mean by teens. So 20,000 and below. So we're talking about a different range altogether. This thing only gets up to 40 hertz. That's the most we can do. So in order to create a different sort of thing going with this, we'll have to grab a operator or oscillator that works kind of like the one that I'm playing, which let me see the frequency. And I should have already preloaded a spectrum device in here. So the frequency I'm playing right now is 132 hertz. 132 hertz is the frequency I'm playing right now. So if I take an operator, the second one here, which is not meant to be heard, the way that this works is that it's set up with these algorithms. See these algorithms? And the rule of thumb for this is that the lowest operator on the algorithm is the one you hear. So in this case, you can go from one operator that you hear and all of them being modulators, one going into each other one, versus you going all the way to a setup where you have basically subtractive synthesis, where you have only operators that you can hear, and there's no FM going on in this case. So, all right, I'm going to then take this operator, which in this algorithm, sorry, I got to switch back to the algorithm. In this algorithm, this operator is set up to modulate this one here. But remember, we're modulating the way the LFO was modulating, but the modulation is going to happen much faster than the LFO. This is not a slow FO. This is a HFO. This is a high frequency oscillator. So we're going to be able to go to a higher level. So here we go. And I'm going to add level to it, and the level will just add the amount of disturbance. But as you hear that now, you hear that there, and you could see that different partials grew here on my frequency spectrum. I'll go back to showing you what I had when I started, which was just one sound. And then as I increase this, you'll see the partials grow. And of course, they follow the harmonic series. And one way of easily knowing that they follow the harmonic series is that it sounds very pleasant. It sounds like you can play a melody with it. It's not dissonant. And if we look at it under a spectrum, we can have a look that, okay, this is the C, and this is another C. You could see at the bottom left-hand corner here what I'm talking about. And then the next one should be a G, and then the next one would be a C, and then the next one would be a E, and so on and so forth. So this is how you perform frequency modulation. And it's really cool. Now, I could keep that going by modulating this one here with this one here. So meaning that the top one is going to modulate this one, and then that result of this being modulated is going to modulate the last one. So it all rolls down the hill, right? It all rolls down the hill. Now watch what happens. Whoa, more harmonics. And I'll do it again. More harmonics. So now with this sort of setup, we can avoid even using a filter and create the harmonic kind of signature that we want, albeit a simple one. We're dealing only with sine waves at this point, but with the sine waves modulating each other, they kind of become some gnarly stuff here. Okay, so that's the deal. That is FM synthesis. It is a way to create harmonics or make harmonics arise or through the sidebands that are created during this process of pitching something, pitching a tone fast in a fast way. And this is how, now we're going to use it in a practical application. I'm going to start a track in a little bit. But I want to see if there's anything in the chat of anybody asking anything. If not, no worries. Let's see I see a bunch of emojis here and there. Simple Sam is here. Hello, Simple Sam. Welcome back. Let's see. Let's keep going. Where are we? Okay. So we have a setup where we're using a piece of software to do this. Now, I wanted to talk a little bit about the couple of different styles, and I don't want to harp on this. If you guys want me to expand on it, I will, but just to be complete about the whole topic so that you could watch it again and maybe get the information here, I wanted to talk about slightly different styles of FM. So you have basically three styles. And let's just talk about two, which are the exponential FM and the linear FM, and then there's linear through zero. But there's linear through zero and linear are very close to each other. Exponential FM happens in analog synthesizers. Linear FM has to happen in software because you have to kind of do it in a software setup. So what's going on in exponential FM? So the vibration of the frequency. So if you start with a frequency, let's say you start with this frequency, and you get another operator or oscillator to vibrate the pitch of this frequency. Let's say this is 100 hertz. It's going to vibrate. If it's vibrating at a certain equal distance, right? Let's say it vibrates all the way up to 200 hertz, and then back down to 0 hertz. Okay, that's going to go way farther. So because it's going that much, it's going to have a different result on the top end than on the bottom end. So when it goes down and when it goes up, it's going to have a different skewed sort of pitch from going up then going down, because when it goes down, it has to go half of the distance in order to get the next octave, and when it goes up, it has to go double the distance to get the next octave. So the big takeaway from that is that when this happens, when this movement like this happens, and as you pitch it and go up through the frequency spectrum, you're going to get uneven pitching all around. And the pitch is actually, as you add the FM, the pitch is going to rise. And you notice that when you add the FM in here, the pitch kind of stays the same. It doesn't flux all over the place. Now I think I could probably get that going. Let's see if I change this to an LFO. This LFO is set up to do pitch, but I can change this to an HFO. This is a special mode that this operator has, where I could change the setup. So as I'm going to add in now, I'm going to stay to a certain rate, and I'm going to add. So as I get to the higher pitches, see how it, well, I'd have to get a pitch that sort of prescribes to this, so this is actually not the best way to do this. But I'd have to, if I were doing this with a pitchable oscillator like I get in an analog synthesizer, what happens is the more FM you get, the higher the pitch goes, and it becomes annoying because if you have your synth tuned, it's a little bit weird because you have to retune it somehow, and it's cool. Some people like it, the way that kind of presents, but it's much more manageable and much more usable in certain ways in software and in what we get here. And this is referred to as linear FM, which happens now to be exact, and the pitch stays the same, and even linear through zero, which is even more controlled than linear FM. So that's the different styles of FM. When you do FM with analog gear, like I have a bunch of analog gear over there. When I do FM there, it's a totally different scenario than when I'm doing FM in a digital synthesizer. And that is what happened in the DX7 that made it so special. So before that, so a lot of people don't understand that the DX7 was an innovation, and some people say, well, FM existed before the DX7. Yamaha came out with the DX7 in the early 80s, which was the first digital FM synthesizer. The big innovation was that linear FM situation where now you have, the pitch doesn't change on you so radically. It's very controlled. Before that, you had possibilities of doing, like maybe with an ARP Odyssey or whatever, you could do FM, but frequency modulation, but it would drift. It would drift in its pitch, and now with the digital ones, you have tight pitch going on. Let's see what's going on in the chat. James Murley says, "Hey all." The question is, will this be available for viewing later? Yeah, we post all our videos so that you can watch them, at any time. So if you missed the beginning, there's no worries. Yeah. All right. So let's keep on moving now. So some things here to kind of understand. So they have to be multiples of the fundamental in order to stay in FM. So you have to be working with multiples of the fundamental in order to stay harmonic, right? So the way that an FM synthesizer is tuned is different than other synthesizers. The tuning is based on, right here we have this coarse tuning, and the 1 represents the fundamental. And if we increase it to 2, if we go up by the next step, we're going to get the next step in the harmonic series, which will be the fundamental plus 1, right? Which would be, in this case, an octave. But if we increase it to the next one, we're going to go to the fundamental plus times 3, which is going to be a G. So as you notice, it's not going up. When somebody told me once that they thought that this was going up by octaves, and it's not going up by octaves at all. It's not that. You really are not going up by octaves. You're going up through the harmonic series. That's why if you guys don't know about the harmonic series, you should really make it your business to understand the harmonic series in and out, because it permeates everything there is to do with sound, and it really is all about sound design, mixing and mastering, saturation. All that stuff will become completely clear to you when you understand the harmonic series. You have to understand the harmonic series in order for you to get a higher understanding of what you're doing with some of these processes, and definitely in FM synthesis. So I'm just going to go up, and you could hear that we're just going down the different steps in the harmonic series. That's cool. I've never done this before. How far can we go before I can't hear it anymore? I can still hear it. I can still hear it. Albeit, okay, it stops at around 6K. So that's the harmonic series for everybody. And understand that that's the way you tune a synthesizer. So when you do FM and you perform FM, say with a frequency that is exactly the same, you're going to get a certain result. You get this. You get these harmonics coming up. But if you pitch that up to the next harmonic, you get these. And you pitch up to the next harmonic, you get these. Pitch up to the next harmonic, you get these. And you can add sets of harmonics at different parts of the frequency spectrum depending on the tuning, the coarse tuning that you have in your selection, which is super cool. So this can be this, but this next one can be tuned up here to sprinkle in some nice top sound. So we can add a little top whatever, and then this one could be totally up there, which adding some phase. So let's do something there. And we're changing this in ways that is different now than before, when they were all set up to kind of give me the same modulation. I mean, the modulation at the same frequency. So kind of switching it up here and changing through the harmonic series in the FM is going to give you new possibilities in the sound. FM is complex in a way. The truth is the main understanding of how FM works is pretty simple. I would say that I always say that FM is like a good video game. It's easy to understand, but really hard to master, because all the variables and what all these variables give you and these sounds, tend to make it so that you have to kind of practice and check out and sort of discover. That's why with FM I like to go through presets and look at the presets and how they're made, and then realize, oh, that's how I could make that happen. But you're able to get these see how crystalline that sound is, how very bright, and this type of bright sound is not possible in a subtractive synthesizer. It is just not. It is very. The subtractive synthesizer is warm. The subtractive synthesizer is thick. The subtractive synthesizer is sounds great, but it doesn't ever get this bright. So when the DX7 came out, one of the things about having a DX7 that was so cool was that now you could make sounds like electric pianos and kind of like just take that little DX7 with you and go and do the gig on a DX7 instead of having a Fender Rhodes, which is a very big undertaking. All right, so that's basically FM synthesis in a nutshell. I'm gonna start fresh here. I'm gonna just start making some beats here. Got a 909 set up here, and I'm gonna start with trying to make a kind of FM bass. Now, FM bass is some of the best, coolest bass you could have because it's so expressive. You can get so much expression on FM bass. So I'm just gonna set this up to, let's see. I'm gonna record I'm just gonna record some parts here. Nothing special. I'm starting with just that sine wave that's there. I'm gonna just do the sine wave, and then I'll write some parts and pick one that I like, and then maybe do some FM on it, and I'll show you what you could do in different ways with this. So I'm just kind of testing out here what I'm gonna do, and I'm just recording, and I'm just testing out. You know how I like play chicken scratch and then kind of just harvest anything that might have been cool that I might have done in the meantime. And that's enough. I'll just grab that and I'll loop it around. And I'll take a loop of it. Maybe half a bar. And you know what? I'm probably going to quantize this stuff so that I can get it to sound like I know how to play. Command Shift U. There we go. I'll keep that for now. Hey, where did it go? I had something else. That's what I want. So that's my part. I'm going to maybe pitch that down a little bit. Maybe an octave down. So what you get now is we have a pure sine wave, because it doesn't get any purer than this, right? There's not too much else going on except for these low frequency fundamentals that are playing right now. It's a pure sine wave on the bottom, and now I want to make something very expressive, make it a little more expressive, or at least a little more able to be, heard on other speakers. If you guys are listening to this on like laptop speakers, I'm pretty sure a few of you are going, Abe, I can't hear anything going on with this. This is no sound, because it's so deep. Right now, one frequency is like in 30 hertz and the other one is in the 60s. So very low frequencies. But adding some FM, so suddenly we start seeing, we still have our low frequencies in here, but we have a little bit of harmonics happening in here as well, which now helps and aids in it kind of cutting through. It's doing good. It's cutting through. I'll do a little more, and I'll run it this way. A little bit of that, a little bit of that. We can form a basic, thicker sound. But let's get a little fancy with this. Let's add some of this, and this is let's do it the same frequency, but let's take the envelope generator here for the amplitude, meaning this level, the level will peak out, and right now it's doing the same as this guy is here. It's peaking out and it's staying up there, not doing anything different. But if we peak out and immediately come down, we can make it so that this has a little punch. It adds a little oomph just on the transient. Now remember, the transient is the beginning of the sound. So if you hear now, you can hear that beautiful little punch on the transient. That's hard to do in subtractive synthesis in such a nice way. I add a little more, and very easily we have that sub with a little more oomph to it. Well, let's change the frequency. We'll see what happens. Let's go to ×2. As I come up, I'm at the fourth harmonic here. I have a lot more emphasis on it. Oh, even more. Maybe I can back off of the level a little bit. And all the way up. Now, that's weird. It's just more of a click than anything else. Let's stay to 4, but let's play with the envelope here. Oh, yeah. Now it's gotten this feeling and this thickness that, again, subtractive synthesis would not be able to go here. Not so easy. Remember, we started with that. We still have that. We still have that low frequency that we started with. And now we have this richness in the sound that we didn't have before. Well, let's keep the game going. Let's see what happens if we add a little bit of this up here. What frequency are we going to pick, or what harmonic are we going to do FM with? We can do that. We could also, maybe stretch it out a little more. Let's try a really high one, see what happens. Wow, look in the detail, the metallic detail that you get. Now, if I add a little bit of reverb to that, well, that reverb doesn't have too much high end to it. Well, it does somehow. Let's do that. And let's see if I add where are we? Get lost a little bit here. So add a little bit of, now all these details, now that reverb can catch onto something. As before, if I cut this, all the FM will go. That reverb does nothing for us now. I have the same amount of reverb in there, but it does nothing. It has absolutely nothing. Go back, and we have something for the reverb to latch on to. Let's see. So we can establish all these little tones and make it shorter, longer, A lot of really detailed action can go into this, into making a bass line. Now we have a bass line that kills. Now I feel like writing my part over again, because now I have I could get inspired by this sound. Look, listen to that. That is just gold right there. I'm gonna grab one of those. I gotta quantize it though, because I'm not as good as I think I am. I don't even need all that reverb. Now I could fool around with this again, just see what I get. A little more detail on the top. A little level there. Let's add this last one. Let's make another sound. Let's make another FM sound. Let's grab another instrument. An operator, that is. And this time let's make a chordy sound. So I'm going to use a chord device. Let's see. So I'm going to grab a chord device, which is going to give me a nice third, minor third. And then I'm going to grab a scale device, which is going to keep me in what scale? Let's see. Let's keep it in one of them. Let's just keep it in a basic minor. So we're in C minor no matter what I play. So right now, again, all I'm starting with is sine waves right now. All I'm playing is sine waves right now. And again, I'm gonna actually set myself up already to record with recording, quantization set up in there already. And I'm just doodle with this with like a 2-note thing. So the cool thing is that no matter what I play, it stays in C minor. So it's minor chord, but it's if it doesn't work in C minor, it's gonna be something else. So I'm gonna add another seventh here to get that initial C minor triad. But when I play, I could play it wrong. I could play it in C sharp minor. No matter where I play it. So this is going to be a lot of fun. But again, not doing FM yet. I'm just kind of coming up with a part, right? So I'm going to hit that and just start playing. Okay, something in there would have been okay. And it should be quantized already. I don't know, I'm going to take 1 or 2 bars, but let's see. Keep on moving here. Just take something simple like that. So let's do some FM now. If I do this, already got the FM thing going. Let's play with the envelope. That's pretty cool. Let's set up. Let's change the chorus. See if it does what it does for us. Oh, that's nice. Let's add some echo to that. Remember, without FM, it sounds like this. Very simple sine wave based. With FM, we got that brightness on the top, that crystalline sort of feeling. let's change the course again. Let's change it again. So we got 7. Let's try another one up here. Let's change that to another one of these. Very high one. Let's try something in the 20s. See what the difference is. Okay. Let's play with the envelope on that. Maybe we make that one rise. Gives a little extra at the end of the sound. But what if I were to come in here? All up until now, all we've been doing is playing with sine waves, right? So, but what if we would change the basic waveform? Now this is moving far away from what the initial DX7 and all the early FM synthesizers did, but now we can use other waveforms. So let's just see what happens if I cycle through different waveforms here. Let's try a sine wave, a little bit more than a sine wave, just a little bit with a 4-bit. Let's try this one. Let's move on to a saw. Oh wow, that did something nice. Remember, without FM, with FM. Let's try saw 16. Again, without FM, with FM. So it starts to get a little messy with more with you start at a frequency that already has a lot of partials in it. That's why it kind of pays off to stay to a frequency that a waveform that has very simple beginnings, so that you can mold it with the rest of the operators. In FM, it's really cool to play with the tone then, because it's kind of a filtering of sorts. But this could be a good parameter to put on a macro and to modulate. I mean, you could do it also a filter here. We've had that filter on all the time, and so the very bright stuff you haven't even been hearing. But now that we can play with resonance on it and do the subtractive synthesis thing now on this new custom waveform, and see how very, very, very biting but in a very nice way we have in that sound. Another cool thing that you could play with is the time in here. This increases the time of all the envelopes and collectively, and shortens them too. So I can start a track now with my FM. Let's do a little track beginning with FM. I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna start there. That's my beginning, and I'm gonna start a little bit of FM coming. Oh yeah, there we go. Sorry, I get carried away. All right, now let's bring this other part in. I'm gonna just start playing it. Whoa, Ableton kind of gave me a little snafu there. I should have started with the tone down, and then I could bring the tone in. But then I can increase the maybe increase the overall FM. And go all the way down to the sine wave. Ooh, yeah. Look at that with the exaggerated FM. See that expression, that type of expression that you get now? That's hard to do any other way. I mean, FM, you should love FM. You should really love FM. Let's take this one and add a couple of partials to it. Let's add a reverb to that has maybe a very long pre-delay. Make it mysterious. And let's shorten the whole thing. Well, wrong one. Shorten the whole thing with FM plus echo. Yeah, Elena. All right. Somebody said the single was overdriven because it was a little loud. Yeah, it's hard to control. I don't even know where my meters went. But I hope it wasn't too bad for your ears. Let's see. Try to move this out of the way, but I can't right now for some reason. Yeah, I can't find it. Anyway, hopefully you guys are getting the idea here. But yeah, that's FM, and yeah, it's a little distorted. Sorry about that. I'll just make sure that I bring it down for the rest of the lesson, which is only a couple of minutes. It says, but the small reader on the right it doesn't show it anytime the channel. So the reason it might have been distorted was because it's not distorting in Ableton, but maybe I got to go in through a mixer, and the mixer going into the input of the streaming software might have been a little too loud from the mixer. So that's a different problem, not because of something I did in Ableton. But anyway, hopefully you got the idea of what was happening, and you understand now how you can make some cool stuff with FM. One more thing I just wanted to show you before I go. I wanted to show you quickly what happens if you don't stay to multiples of the fundamental. So right now we have a frequency and a sine wave, the same way we started with the other parts. And just make sure this is a little lower. And now I'm going to add the FM part to it. Right, so it stays manageable. It stays in a harmonic way. It sounds good to us. We feel good about it. We like it. We understand the multiples thing, and we kind of resonate with the multiples. So let's drop the. Where is that? I always lose these things. The Spectrum device, just to always have a look at what we're listening to. So okay, so we have those frequencies popping up. But what would happen if I just changed the tuning on this, in the fine tuning, in a place in between where it's not exactly tuned correctly? So as I do the FM, whoa, what has happened? We get all sorts of weirdness, which is kind of cool. But it's a little hard to play melodies with that sounds, and if I increase the amount of that, we'll end up with this crazy weirdness, which can be very cool anyway. To maybe add a little bit of the beginning of a sound with a little bit of that crazy weirdness, and now we can create maybe percussive sounds and like maybe a track, which percussive sounds don't have to carry a melody. They don't have to be very much in tune. And I'm going to just play some percussive. and I'm just gonna loop that around. Now I'm gonna play with the pitch on it. And the length of it, of course. And a little bit of reverb. And you could make, I mean, I don't have time today, but you could make so many different textures. I'm going to take out these guys so you could hear all the different textures that you can make. I'll take one of these out. It's too. I'll take this one out too. And increase this a little bit. Maybe make it come up. Make the FM come into it and not, instead of coming out in and out. To make it, let's add more or less. And then of course we could even work a filter with that. To get all the weirdness that we want out of this thing. Remember, we're out of tune with this one. But now we got a sound that is in the percussive realm. What happened to this one? Somehow got really short with the notes. I don't know why. Oh, this way. There we go. Yeah, and that's it. That's the lesson I have for you guys, or the stream I have for you guys on FM. Thanks everybody for watching. Remember, we are 343 TV. We're here every Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday, and 1 o'clock. And if you miss it, you can always watch it on our YouTube channel. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel. We're trying to build up the channel. Please give me a like if you like what you see in this, if it's helped you in any way. And if also come to our website, 343labs.com. Check out our class